Welcome to History with Herodotus, where the boundaries of time and space are bridged by the power of storytelling. Today, we embark on a journey to explore one of the most pivotal and tumultuous events in modern history, the Partition of India. This epical moment, which reshaped the destiny of millions, is a testament to the complex interplay of politics, culture, and human aspirations. As we delve into this narrative, let us first set our gaze upon the Indian subcontinent, a land of breathtaking diversity and ancient traditions. In the early 20th century, India was a British colony, with the British Raj exercising control over a vast territory that encompassed present-day India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. The seeds of partition were sown in the early decades of the 20th century as the Indian independence movement gained momentum. The Indian National Congress, led by stalwarts like Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru, advocated for a unified and independent India where people of all faiths and backgrounds could coexist in harmony. However, a growing sense of Muslim nationalism, exemplified by the All India Muslim League, began to crystallize around the idea of a separate homeland for Muslims. The Muslim League's leader, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, would emerge as a pivotal figure in the partition narrative. Born in Karachi in 1876, Jinnah was a brilliant lawyer and politician who had once been a member of the Indian National Congress. However, his experiences with Hindu-dominated politics led him to increasingly advocate for Muslim separatism. Meanwhile, the British government, weary from World War II and facing mounting pressure from the United States and the Soviet Union to decolonize, began to consider granting India independence. The British Raj, however, was determined to maintain its influence in the region even as it relinquished control. This led to a series of complex negotiations and proposals, including the 1946 Cabinet Mission Plan, which attempted to balance the competing demands of Hindus, Muslims, and other groups. As these events unfolded, the Indian subcontinent was ablaze with political activism, communal tensions, and economic uncertainty. In the midst of this turmoil, key figures like Gandhi, Nehru, Jinnah, and others would navigate the treacherous landscape of Indian politics, shaping the course of history with their words, actions, and decisions. The summer of 1947 was a time of great anticipation and foreboding as the British government announced its intention to transfer power to Indian hands by June 15, 1948. However, the Muslim League's insistence on a separate homeland, coupled with the Congress's reluctance to accept partition, created an atmosphere of escalating tension. The die had been cast, and the fate of millions hung in the balance as the Indian subcontinent hurtled toward a destination that would change its destiny forever. In the midst of this maelstrom, the Radcliffe Line, named after Sir Cyril Radcliffe, the British lawyer tasked with demarcating the borders between India and Pakistan, would become a contentious and arbitrary dividing line, separating communities, families, and friends. As the summer of 1947 wore on, the tension between Hindus and Muslims continued to escalate, with violent clashes erupting in various parts of the subcontinent. On June 3, 1947, the British government announced its plan for the Partition of India, which would divide the country into two separate nations, India and Pakistan. The plan, known as the Mountbatten Plan, was named after Lord Louis Mountbatten, the last Viceroy of India, who had been tasked with overseeing the transition to independence. The plan called for the creation of a boundary commission, led by Sir Cyril Radcliffe, to demarcate the borders between the two new nations. The commission's task was to divide the provinces of Punjab and Bengal, which had mixed populations of Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs, into separate territories for India and Pakistan. However, the commission's work was hampered by a lack of accurate census data and the complexity of the region's demographics. On July 18, 1947, the Indian Independence Act was passed by the British Parliament, paving the way for the transfer of power to Indian hands on August 15, 1947. As the date of independence drew near, the violence and chaos in the subcontinent intensified. In Punjab, Sikh and Hindu mobs attacked Muslim villages, while in Bengal, Muslim mobs targeted Hindu communities. One of the most horrific examples of this violence was the massacre at the town of Kahuta in western Punjab, where hundreds of Muslims were killed by Sikh and Hindu mobs on August 12, 1947. The town's Muslim population had been warned to leave before the attack, but many were unable to escape. and their bodies were left to rot in the streets. As the Radcliffe Line was finally announced on August 17, 1947, it sparked widespread outrage and disappointment among both Hindus and Muslims. The line, which divided the provinces of Punjab and Bengal, left many communities on the wrong side of the border, leading to a massive influx of refugees fleeing their homes in search of safety. The city of Lahore, which had been a thriving cultural and economic center for centuries, was now a scene of utter chaos as Hindus and Sikhs fled to India and Muslims fled to Pakistan. The once vibrant streets were now empty and deserted, littered with the debris of abandoned homes and businesses. As Jawaharlal Nehru, the future Prime Minister of India, would later recall, the Partition of India was a traumatic event, a wrenching apart of a single entity into two separate nations. It was a time of great sorrow and great suffering, as millions of people were forced to leave their homes and seek refuge in unfamiliar lands. In the midst of this chaos, Mahatma Gandhi, who had long advocated for a united India, wandered the streets of Calcutta, attempting to calm the passions of the crowds and promote peace and reconciliation. His message of non-violence and forgiveness, however, was often drowned out by the sounds of gunfire and screams as the city descended into chaos. On August 14, 1947, Pakistan came into existence, with Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the leader of the Muslim League, being sworn in as its first governor-general. The following day, India gained independence, with Jawaharlal Nehru hoisting the national flag in New Delhi. But for millions of people, the celebration of independence was tempered by the trauma and suffering of partition, which would leave deep scars on the subcontinent for generations to come. As the days turned into weeks, the flow of refugees continued unabated, with estimates suggesting that up to 14 million people were displaced during this period. The refugee camps, set up by the governments of India and Pakistan, were often overcrowded and unsanitary, leading to the spread of diseases such as cholera and dysentery. In one such camp, located in the city of Amritsar, a young Muslim woman named Fatima Begum would later recall the horror she experienced during this time. "I had lost my family, my home, everything," she said. "I was left with nothing but the clothes on my back and a few belongings that I had managed to salvage." The camp was like a prison, with thousands of people crammed into a small space, struggling to survive. As the refugee crisis slowly began to subside, the governments of India and Pakistan struggled to come to terms with the aftermath of partition. The massive displacement of people had left deep scars, and the economies of both countries were severely strained. In the years that followed, India and Pakistan would engage in a series of border disputes and skirmishes, including the Indo-Pakistani War of 1947, which would ultimately lead to the establishment of the line of control in Kashmir. In the midst of this turmoil, Mahatma Gandhi's message of non-violence and forgiveness continued to resonate with many. His efforts to promote peace and reconciliation between Hindus and Muslims ultimately led to his assassination on January 30, 1948. By a Hindu nationalist who saw him as too sympathetic to Muslim interests. Gandhi's death was a devastating blow to the subcontinent, and it marked a turning point in the history of India and Pakistan. As the years passed, the legacy of partition continued to shape the politics and societies of both countries. In India, the experience of partition led to a renewed emphasis on secularism and democracy, while in Pakistan, it contributed to the development of a more Islamic-oriented identity. The division of assets, including the military, government institutions, and infrastructure, had left both countries with significant challenges to overcome. Today, the Partition of India is remembered as one of the most traumatic events in modern history, a testament to the devastating consequences of colonialism and sectarianism. As the historian Yasmin Khan has observed, the Partition of India was not just a transfer of power, but a violent uprooting of people from their homes, their livelihoods, and their sense of identity. The memories of partition continue to haunt the subcontinent, with many families still separated by the border, and its legacy can be seen in the ongoing tensions between India and Pakistan. In recent years, there has been a growing effort to come to terms with the past and to promote reconciliation between India and Pakistan. In 2017, the Indian government announced plans to build a museum dedicated to the history of partition, while in Pakistan, there have been efforts to preserve the cultural heritage of the pre-partition era. These initiatives are a testament to the enduring power of partition to shape the present and to the ongoing need for dialogue and understanding between nations. The Partition of India serves as a powerful reminder of the dangers of sectarianism and the importance of promoting tolerance and understanding. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.